As the Stanley Cup Finals are ongoing, there's definitely an underdog theme here, or a David and Goliath type feel, as in Montreal is the team that everyone doubted and Tampa is the one that most foresaw making it to the fourth round. But just as Montreal in and of itself is the underdog, well, ironically, you could say that one of its most productive players this postseason offensively is one as well, in Cole Caufield, as Caufield has proven spectators wrong that doubted him for his size, and this has obviously been following him into the NHL. In this video, we're going to discuss what led Caufield to dropping in the draft and how 14 other players ended up going before him in the final ranking. And with that, here is why 14 players were drafted ahead of Cole Caufield. It's June of 2019, and the NHL Entry Draft is in full swing in Vancouver. The bulk of the chatter leading up to the festivities involved an interesting dynamic, or rather, a media-made rivalry of sorts, one between American-born Jack Hughes and Finnish sensation Kaapo Kakko, as Hughes had thoroughly impressed scouts with his quick hands, skating, and playmaking abilities. Hughes was looked at as being the next Patrick Kane coming in. At 5'10" and 170 pounds, Hughes was still seen as small, something that Kakko had no issue with at 6'2" and 190 pounds. Kakko demonstrated a knack for puck protection, physicality, and had no problem winning board battles. Therefore, looking at Hughes, who was selected first overall by New Jersey, he was chosen for his slick hands on ice. On the flip side, Kakko, who was the second overall pick, appealed to the Rangers because he seemed physically mature in their minds and would be NHL ready. Kirby Dach, who was selected next at third, also appeared to be close to, if not NHL ready. Dach, who at 6'4" was deemed to be an excellent two-way center, with quick hands and incredible vision. And aside from Bowen Byram, who went next at 4th to Colorado, until 7th place, these players selected have yet to crack the NHL. What's so special and important about 7th place, you say? Well, it just so happens that sources such as NBC Sports, NHL.com, Sportsnet, and The Athletic all foresaw Caufield being selected 7th overall, or if not higher. The most explosive goal scorer available, Caufield was viewed as the next Johnny Gaudreau or Alex DeBrincat of the draft. While he may have been undersized while including exhibition games played during the 2018-19 season for Team USA, Caufield recorded an astounding 100 points and 72 goals in 64 games. So after all that backstory and profile, well, let's answer the question as to why he fell so low. Well, for starters, everything pretty much went as planned on the board until the 6th pick. Caufield was thought to have maybe been 6th, but closer to 7th. But Detroit decided to shock everyone by selecting Mort Seider, a player who was projected to be in the bottom 15 somewhere. This may not seem like as much of a head-scratcher today, considering, he was named the Defenseman of the Year by the SHL last season after averaging .68 points per game with 28 points in 41 games played. But at the time, it was slightly questionable on Yzerman's end. Next, at 7th was Dylan Cozens, and for Buffalo, Cozens seemed like the better choice, as the center recorded 84 points after 68 games played in the WHL. Caufield, on the other hand, had interestingly just 5 more goals short of Cozens' 34 at 29. And here's the kicker. Caufield did that in 28 games. So, you mean to tell me that the Sabres passed up on what could have been an answer for Eichel's dismay? For Dylan Cozens. I mean, it is Buffalo, after all, I guess, so it's believable. Then that takes us to Edmonton's choice. And since they decided to address defense instead of, forward depth or help in net, because, Spencer Knight and all, they chose Philip Broberg. A smooth skater that exhibited a strong two-way game, Holland decided that his first selection as the new GM was going to be this guy. Because, Draisaitl can just play wing and switch positions, right? Which he actually did. Sure, why not? Well, Broberg might be able to make his NHL debut here next season. I suppose we'll see. Now, as questionable as those last few selections were, Trevor Zegras on paper in the regular season in the USHL had 40 points in 27 games played, and was nearly an assist per game player with 26. Zegras can play either wing or center, and can create something out of nothing. So if the Ducks are looking for more versatility, I could understand the decision to a degree. But at the present time today, I'm sure there's still a sliver of regret on Bob Murray's mind even still. The Vancouver Canucks, who next decided they were in need of a winger, but the answer wasn't Cole Caufield. Instead, it was who had already committed to playing in Russia for 2 more years prior to. And during those 2 years, up to this point in time, out of the 65 KHL games he's played over the last 2 seasons, with the SKA St. Petersburg, he's accumulated 19 points in total, and will be looking to potentially take on a role in the bottom 6 for next season with the Nucks. So, Caufield continues to set. and sat through the Coyotes selection because obviously their sights, were set on Phil Kessel, who they traded for a few days after the draft. Instead of, a forward, they went with defenseman Victor Soderstrom. Then comes Matt Boldy for Minnesota, who, like Caufield, was able to score with ease, but spent less time sniping and more time setting up plays on wing. Therefore, by his stats, while playing on the same team as Caufield, leading up to the draft, Boldy's statistical balance paired with his stature at 6'2" could have been serving as some of the logic for Paul Fitton's decision to take Boldy over Caufield, but then again, this was the GM that traded Nito Niederreiter for, Victor Rask and Charlie Coyle for Ryan Donato. I could go on, but by now you probably get the picture. Alright, Florida decided to take a bit of a gamble and select the first goalie in Spencer Knight, directly after, instead of addressing their need on the back end at the time. But even still, after proving himself at the World Juniors and winning all 4 regular season games that he's played as a Panther, it's pretty apparent that Florida is going to have a future stud in net, even if they do part ways with Drager. Philadelphia also decided to address another need and attempt to bolster up their blue line as they selected Cam York. The point-per-game player for the USDP in his final season, York was seen as the perfect power play quarterback futuristically for Philly, and will be looking to make his NHL debut sometime next season. Now finally, it was up to Marc Bergevin. Was he also going to pass up on the player who not only set a new goal record for a single season with the USDP with 72, but also a career one with 126? And this move right here for Bergevin, in my opinion, is the one that most likely had the most impact on the GM remaining in Montreal for next season. So why then? Why did so many NHL GMs pass up on such a game changer in the end? While his size could have been a factor, scouting reports indicated concerns that Caufield was a one-dimensional player, as in his defensive game was lacking. But for Bergevin, his reliance on the fact that defense could be taught, but raw scoring talent could not be, may have been amongst the reasons why he chose the Wisconsin native in the end. Despite being overlooked and underestimated by so many before, Goal Caufield has been one of the most sensational young players to reach the Stanley Cup Finals in a hot minute, something that no one else from his 2019 draft class has accomplished.